So why don't let me start with myself. I think I recognize the number of names on the group. I am from Toronto. My name is Venkatesh. I graduated in 1988 from the mechanical department. So I've been living in Toronto for almost 25 years now. Traveled a bit before I got to Canada. Strangely enough, I still practice engineering. I am involved in sustainable design. Sustainable building environments is what I do for a living. Carbon footprints, decarbonization. That's my field of specialization. So firstly, thank you, Manas, for organizing the webinar or our online meeting using Zoom. And thanks for Ruchika and Krishna for jumping on board almost instantly when the message went out, volunteering your time. So go ahead, Ruchika. You and Krishna can introduce yourself. Let's go around the room introducing the others.
Just 1 second. Vishwaranjan, can you record this for folks who want to watch this later? Either Vishwaranjan or Sushant.
Sorry, what is that, Manas?
Just record.
Yeah, it's already recording, right?
It's recording. Are you sure? Okay, yeah, we're good. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think I can see the recording sign as well. Well, hello everyone. I'm Ruchika Goyal. I'm a 2011 biomedical graduate. So ours was the first biomedical undergrad batch to start with. So I graduated about a dozen years ago. Still feels like yesterday. I really missed my NIT days a lot. I think it was the best phase of my life. That's where I also met my husband. He was my classmate. And so we were both biomedical engineers. So after that, I went on to work in India for like about 3 years, primarily with GE Healthcare, and I pursued my biomedical engineering there. And then my husband Anoop, his name is Anoop, so he was already in the US, so I had to relocate. So I came here in 2015, waited for a couple of years to get my work authorization, as all immigrants go through. In that time, I started volunteering. And I started working in nonprofits. That's where I got my first flavor of business management. And I loved it. And I felt like, okay, maybe I can do more justice to my career as a business person than as an engineer. And so then I went on to do my master's in business. So I did my MBA, full-time MBA from the US. And after that, I worked. So during that time, I worked in Dell. And after that, I started my own company. So when I was an MBA student, I had a few job offers to go back, but my passion, I saw my passion emerge in career consulting, because I was a career consultant, an official career consultant when I was an MBA student, and I just loved it. And I just felt like my biggest motivation was to help people, find meaningful jobs. So I actually started my own company. I did that for 1.5 years after MBA. And then post that, again, some visa issues. I lost my visa in between. It just keeps going here in the US, especially if you're on a dependent visa. So it all happened. And then I decided to just go back to corporate career. So just recently, I worked as a technical product manager at a local SaaS, B2B SaaS company. It was a startup. So that's my latest gig. So I've been a product manager since then. But yeah, just so happy and delighted to be here. I think like I said, it's a very special place for me, NIT Rourkela. So happy to help in any way possible. And yeah, I will hand over it to Krishna Ramajayam for his next introduction.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon and good noon to everyone based on the time. I'm sleepy, so I will say good morning still. But anyways, I woke up late. So a bit about me. I mean, as she said, she must have been the first, the graduate from biomedical engineering department. I might have been the 5th PhD student or PhD graduate from the biomedical engineering program in NIT Rourkela, and so I might have taught her subsequent juniors. So, but I think there has been no match of our timelines. She must have graduated and I entered the PhD program. So I joined NIT Rourkela in 2011 and a very novice, let's say, PhD program, because it all started there. we must have had 2, 3 seniors or 4 seniors before that. And so my specialization as an undergraduate was in industrial biotechnology, and then I levitated towards, I don't know, for some reason I loved heat and mass transfer more than anything else. So I was looking for PhD positions with an engineering background, but with an applied application to basically biological sciences. So somewhere interdisciplinary, but still should have an engineering component to it. That was my idea. So I actually started a PhD program under a mechanical engineer and was working on a thermal problem. So we're actually trying to remove tissues using cryosurgery, which is basically using liquid nitrogen to freeze tumors, and trying to design newer ways to do that. So that was the PhD program, and I was working under 2 people. Sarangi sir, many of them might know because he was the director of the institute back then, and he's an expert in cryoengineering. So he was my co-guide, and my main guide's name was Trinyanam, Dr. Trinyanam. He is a mechanical engineer as well. So yeah, I was basically being tutored for my graduate program under 2 mechanical engineers. And then I finished that, and I was looking for basically the academic path. You're told, okay, do a PhD program, then what? Then do a postdoctoral fellowship, then what? Then you enter into a faculty position or something like that. That's the conventional path, right? So I took the conventional path. I then got a postdoctoral fellowship in so every state has a cancer center here in US, which is funded by the NIH. So I landed up in a cancer center in Medical University of South Carolina. And that's basically more a hospital cum research environment. So you'll meet a lot of clinicians, and all the clinical trials that happen to be, so the cancer centers happen to be the first place to actually get the approvals and testing of those drugs. So I was working there in a very collaborative environment, and my boss, Dieter Hammerich, he's a double PhD, computer science and biomedical engineering, very varied fields, and a very smart guy and well-known face in the hyperthermia-mediated drug delivery space. So in a nutshell, we are making lipid nanoparticles that could be heat activated. And I was designing such drugs, and the advantage to those kind of drugs is that you can focally deliver those drugs to tumors. So you're avoiding the systemic side effects. So imagine like if someone could actually locally deliver the drug to the tumor cell and you don't have any harm to it, right? So systemic chemotherapy is global, right? So you kill the bad cells, but you also kill the healthy cells. So it's a perennial problem. So I was kind of working on that. And then along the career, I had to actually, everyone is looking for stability, right? And visa is one of the problems, like she mentioned. So that is actually, if you are in US right now, it's a really huge problem for everyone who's either a dependent, or even if you are a main primary dependent, you need to kind of figure out what you need to do. So I was on a J1 visa, which actually allows you to work in nonprofits as a researcher. So if I had to go to the industry, someone had to sponsor me, right? And you can either get an H1B, which is lottery dependent, or you can get an O1, which is basically for PhDs. It's a little easier to prove your scientific credentials and say that you're extraordinary. You can do that even if you are an artist or you are exceptional in business or all that, if you're a startup founder. So you can pursue that route. So it's not like you cannot, but you need to know what you are doing to do that. So I pursued that route. I was applying to academic positions as well last year. Had a hard time getting those, but then I started applying to industry as a senior scientist, where I am currently right now. And luckily, industry was more welcoming. So I didn't choose it, but it happened so that I was getting more industrial positions and offers as a senior scientist. And here I am in California. So I'm located in Pleasanton, California, in a company called Unchained Labs. It's a medical device manufacturing company, but we are supplying basically analytical instruments and for anyone who does gene therapy and biologics or proteins and all that kind of thing. So yeah, so I'm still a scientist, but now working to make money. if that makes sense. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Krishna. So for the rest of the folks who are here, we will catch up with the introductions as we go along through the session, because it's 15 past the hour and we don't want to miss out on what we gathered here for. And the way it all started was 2 weeks ago, I was visiting our alumni in a city called Waterloo, which is close to Toronto. And it's Waterloo is renowned for the University of Waterloo, which ranks amongst the topmost universities in the world. And then I was meeting with a bunch of our alumni, and the question popped up, sir, we are all going to be graduating in the next few months. We don't know what to do. And I was trying to give them my 2 cents worth. And I quickly realized, I was way out of my depth of knowledge in the kind of fields they were in. And I said, why don't you reach out to our alumni in the US and other places? Perhaps they will be able to help you. And then I said, well, instead of asking them and running them around, I said, why don't we, try and organize a career counseling session? And the message went out, and literally 2 minutes later, Ruchika, chimed in, you chimed in, Manu said, hey, great idea. And then bang, we are here. So that's fantastic. So since we don't have a real, curated agenda for today, what I would like to do is to open up the floor for questions. Let's do this as a needs analysis on what everybody is looking for. And as we go along, we could most likely be able to create further discussions of this nature, where we can now target, I guess, the asks from our various alumni, and perhaps put them in touch with other people within the alumni for career prospects and jobs and other things. So guys, go ahead, Ipsita, Ashirvad, Abhishek. I kind of recognize these names. My apologies if I'm not calling out the others. So please go ahead and ask questions, and let's go from there.
Hi, so my name is Ashirvad, and I'm also from biomedical engineering. So I didn't see, because I started in 2012, so I didn't see Ruchika ma'am, but I definitely saw Krishna sir while I was there. And I am currently...
Sorry for interrupt. I'm not that old though.
No, I know, but I know you were the first batch, so we were kind of like the...
No, Ruchika, what he meant was, he didn't see you. He did not see you in class. He saw you at the chai shop at the, at the canteen most of the time.
Did you start?
No, jokes apart. Keep going.
Yeah, he's pulling a leg.
Yeah, because I started in 2012 and I graduated batch of 2016, and then I did a master's in biomedical as well in New Brunswick, Canada, and then I did PhD. I'm doing a PhD right now in system design in University of Waterloo. And I would really love to get tips from both and like anyone else as well, just because I'm following the same career path, because I have done a lot of research, but I want to slowly transition to industry, and then a position focused on research, because that's what I've been doing for a long time now. So that, like, any advice in this from Krishna sir and Chika ma'am would be great.
Okay, so I'll see, first design, I mean, what kind of...
Hey, Krishna, sorry to interrupt, Krishna. Before we dive into answering Ashirvad, could we just kind of continue down the line to see what other questions people have, and we could probably give an answer which is kind of common to everybody, and then zero in on specific areas.
Sounds great.
Hi, everybody. So I'll go ahead. My name is Bhagyashri Panda, and I graduated from NIT doing my master's in civil engineering in the year 2013. Thereafter, I was employed in KIT University as assistant professor for around 8 years. And in the meantime, I felt like I'm lagging the knowledge that is required in my field. I belong to transportation engineering, so my field of study is that. So I came to US to do again a master's. It was during the COVID, so it was a hectic thing. And now I have graduated from George Washington University in Washington, DC, just the last month in August. So the question that I have is, while I'm navigating through the job search, while I'm going for the industry, although I have research, I would say teaching experience and an academic experience. But the thing I see, like most of the times we go to LinkedIn, the LinkedIn to apply for jobs and all that. Certainly I feel like as if the employer is not really looking at your resume and all that, and it's always emails about you are having a great resume, but it seems like an automated process. Is that true? I don't know exactly what is happening because I'm applying to the industry for the first time. So this is my question.
Great question. We'll come to it, Bhageshri, but yeah, great question.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Ipsita. I graduated from NIT Rourkela in the year of 2017 with a with a bachelor's in computer science. And now currently I just graduated from University of Waterloo with a master's degree in systems design and specialization in ML. But in between, I did work for like 4 years as a software developer. So my question is, given the current job market and as a fresher in the field of ML, what are some of the suggestions and how should I be navigating the market and how to build a profile so that I can get into the job market quite easily? So I think that would be my first question.
Sounds good.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rishabh. I graduated from NIT Rourkela in 2016.
I think, yeah, go ahead, Rishabh. I think we can hear you.
Rishabh is muted.
Rishabh, I think you're muted, is it?
Can you hear me? Sorry, I just thought my connection isn't stable enough.
Yeah, we can now.
We can hear.
Okay, maybe there's just some lag. Thanks for organizing this. Thanks to Krishna sir, Venkat sir, Rishika ma'am. I graduated from NIT Rourkela in 2016 with a bachelor's in civil engineering. And then I started my, I started in 2016. I graduated in 2020. And then I started my PhD in computer vision for structural damages at the University of Waterloo. So till now, I've done most of the research in this field. However, again, I plan to join the industry once I graduate. There are some projects that I have with the industry, but I don't think they directly hire in my field. So what I'm thinking is, how do I sort of make the transition easier into industry when I graduate in about 2 years?
Okay. Venkat sir, should we, because I think it'll be difficult to remember all the questions once it's past 5, 6 questions. Should we take like maybe 10, 15 minutes to answer those quickly and then get to this next set of questions?
Yeah, good choice. Good call, Ruchika. Go ahead.
Okay. I can start with Bhageshri's question.
Sure.
And Bhageshri, I think your assessment here is very true, right? So when you go online and you apply on LinkedIn, right, usually what we call online applications is a black hole. So whatever you're applying, 80 to 90% of it is being just filtered by the ATS system, right? Which is an automatic system which filters out resume based on some keywords that they're looking for. And although you have, and all of you, by the way, you have tremendous experience, tremendous education, very proud of you. But unfortunately, the industry cannot, right, go into each one's career and see what potential you have. So they've kind of designed this mechanical system of filtering out through resumes. And many a times the job applications will close in a day, although they wouldn't put it online as that. So you see a job application which is 4 days old and has like 400 applicants. 99%, they're not even looking into finding more candidates. So although you're applying, it's just going into that black hole, right? So the way usually we go about, educating or mentoring students on this is, yes, apply, but don't rely on that, because that's like a chance that you can have to get your name called out by a recruiter. Network into your, area of interest. And when I say network, sometimes it sounds like a very fancy, very heavy word, where everyone is like, how do we even network? Like, what is the meaning of network, right? It's nothing but, say you're interested. So Bhagyashree, for example, right, you mentioned you were, remind me your discipline again.
Yeah, civil engineering with a focus in transportation.
Right. So, say you have a few acquaintances already in transportation, right? You connect with them and you say, hey, I see these 5 people online on LinkedIn, and you see a mutual connection, like a 2nd degree connection or a 3rd degree. Can you connect me to this person, right? And this is the reason. So this is one of the ways where you find a mutual connection and you ask them to connect to that person. And then what you do is call an information session, where you just take 15-20 minutes of their time, not much, but you have a very pointed list of questions, and you say, hey, I'm interested in this industry. I see you're an expert or veteran here. Can I take 15-20 minutes of your time sometime? Just go over my questions. And that is how you start building those connections and start networking your way in. It's not for a job initially, right? You're just kind of learning more about the industry. You do that. So that's one of the ways. The second is just cold contacting, right? You see 5 or 10 connections on LinkedIn who are really of interest to you. You start cold chatting with them or writing to them through emails, right? You buy a subscription on LinkedIn, which is really useful if you're job searching, and you reach out. Out of 10, maybe a couple people will respond, right? You reach out to your NITR network, as well as your network in master's or PhD. So I would say whenever you're applying for a job, cold applying will mostly go nowhere. So try connecting through your connections. And then once you get those connections, and then some of them, not everyone is going to be too interested, but you will, if you connected to 30 people, you will find 3 or 4 who are your advocates, as we call, right? Who will really vouch for you. You start connecting with them, and then gradually you make your way and say, hey, I saw this job in your company, or, can you help me apply through a referral, which has much higher chances. So, well, I will, I don't want to take a lot of the time here on
Ruchika,
this question. Yeah,
would I be?
go ahead.
Sorry, Ruchika. Ruchika, would I be correct in saying that all the tips that you're giving is not necessarily, it does not only apply to Bhagyashree, it applies to everybody,
Yes.
right?
Yes, it
Yes.
does. It does. Yes. So
It applies to everyone.
yes.
And Bhagyashree, to answer your specific question, please
Yes.
ping me on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And since you are a civil engineer with transportation, I know a few people in the group who are in that line. I could probably hook you up with them, and I can chat with you a little bit more to understand what your needs are.
Yeah, of course, I'll do that. Thank you.
So just to be going ahead with Ruchika's discussion, just to add to that clearly, so informational interviews or strategically meeting people on LinkedIn is something you should do even when you're not looking for a job, because stars might not align. When you have a job posting, you cannot just call people and say, hey, you know what, I need to speak to you ASAP. So when you say that you're going to graduate next year, start the journey now. Build a cohesive network of people that you think are in the jobs that you want to be. Okay, talk to them. And like she said, it's not like, so 90% of the people, they might be busy or they might respond, but 10% of them would be there, would be your advocates. So talk to them. You will be amazed how helpful people are. And just talk to them without any agenda first to establish. We have, with the, sad to say that, but with technology, we are becoming dumb socially. So first establish a social connection. Once I know that he or she is Bhagyashree, I know you by face, then I will be more than happy to help you. We forget that we are human beings in the end, right? So establish that human connection. Once you know a person by face, you will actually look at the resume more carefully. than in a software where your resume is lying in some downloads folder, right? Now you are more personal to me. So quickly coming to Ashirwad's question. So for research-oriented careers, Ashirwad, what you need to do is you need to actually, again, if you're looking for industry positions, I think you should look at people who are there in positions that you want to, right? And it is good to highlight in your resume sections that are research focused because you're looking for a research intensive career, and connect to people and talk to them, and not necessarily talk to them for a job, but talk to them about, everyone loves to brag about their story. Just ask them, how did you transition? Even if you're not listening, just, pretend to listen. And then when you meet them second time, ask them again. So it is like a dialogue, right? You meet someone, establish a human connection, take it forward the next time, and then ask. And suddenly you will see that what I did was, over months, I built a network. And then suddenly I would see a position in that company. And then I would say, like after establishing a meaningful connection, I would ask the person, hey, this posting has come up. Can you give me a referral? And the person would be happy to help you because now he or she knows you as a person. And it's not like, a give and take relationship. Mentoring is never a give and take. I also learn from what you do. So you take a piece of me and I take a piece of you. So it is a very, mutual and symbiotic relationship. And that is how life is. So if you have that mindset, I think you'll kind of, do well.
And great points, Krishna. And just piggybacking on what Krishna said, if you're looking for a job immediately, and then you think you can build a network and kind of get your way in, it's tough, right? It takes months and weeks. So like you said, if you're graduating next April or May, this is a great time. You have almost like 2 semesters. Start building that strong network, and not everyone you meet is going to be a strong advocate. So keep that in mind, and it's okay, right? But who you think will reciprocate, make sure you're in touch, and you also do something for them. Like he said, it's a two-way street, right? Offer help as well. And say you meet someone and he's not in your direct industry, but your friend is in the same industry as him or her, then you can also connect that way. So like it may appear as slow network building, but in a matter of weeks or time, you will see how enriched it can get and how successful it can be. Like Bhagyashri just spoke right now, and Venkat sir was like, hey, I'm in the same industry. And now he will connect her to, a few folks. And that's how you just go, right? So yeah, like
and Ruchika, to add a few more points, what I have also noticed is if people are willing to volunteer their time to certain industries, usually most professionals, most industries, most professional organizations never say no to free help. And you get into that for free. Maybe you're not making money, you're giving up a lot of time, but you're building that symbiotic relationship, that organic relationship with people. And many times I've noticed that job postings are sometimes an inside job posting. They haven't really announced it to the world, or sometimes they announce it to the world only because labor markets demand them to do it, but they already have somebody internal in mind, and they fill the position, keep it alive, and then they close it down. But if you're there internally as a volunteer and there is something that comes up, there's an opportunity for that volunteer to be closer to that position than being an outsider. I mean, every case is dependent, and you got to check it out. So yeah, good conversations.
Yeah.
So
I want to add something here, sir, to what you said. It reminded me of career fairs. So I think career fairs are an excellent entry point where you go in person, right? I mean, some of them are happening virtually, but I would highly encourage if you can go somewhere in person. So I have had career fairs during my MBA, and you go through like 50 booths, right? And then you click with say 8 out of them, and the visual connection that you build with them and you leave your resume, almost everyone calls you back with whom you've built that connection, right? It's I mean, you would be surprised as to how soon you land your first interview. After that, of course, it's your journey there, right? And the second thing is, we often underestimate our network. And when I say our network, our existing network, which means your undergrad network, your master's network, and your PhD network, right? That's your first set of advocates already, because you're like, hey, I'm a fellow NITR alum, I'm a fellow Waterloo alum, and and they will do anything to get you in as much as they could. So always remember, start from your network. That's the most powerful tool you already have in your hand.
Are there more questions from the floor? I mean, this is not a presentation, it's a dialogue, guys. So please feel free to stop us and ask questions.
Yeah. And one more coming to so I think there was a question about, Ipshita asking about how to navigate a tough job market. Ipshita, I think, it's only one way. You just need one job, right? You don't need 10 jobs. I'm assuming you just want one job at first, right? So this question, the market, even if it's rosy, it's going to be tough. If it's going to be, so everything is tough. It's just a relative thing of how you look things in life. There is a positive side to it. So see, when I was applying, I think I had applied to 200 applications. I'm not kidding. Okay. Over the course of 4 months, I had applied to 206 positions. I had an Excel sheet I used to make a table daily. It is never easy. Life is never going to be easy, but you have to look at the brighter side of things, right? And look at it in terms of, do you want it that passionately? And if you do that, let me tell you, the universe conspires. It sounds very philosophical, but it does. So when you are intentional, right, you're doing the right things, and people see your honest and passion commitment towards that goal, they will help you. So it's never going to be, even in the toughest job market, people have got jobs.
So let's open the floor for the dialogue. So all the young graduates who wanted this, please go ahead and ask questions, guys.
Also, I just want to, Rishabh, I think, did we answer your question? Because we don't want to leave out any of the previous questions.
What was his question?
Indirectly, because I think me and Ashwat are looking for similar things, but he's just more ahead of me in terms of academic timeline. I'll be graduating in 2 years, and I want to make that shift to a research job in the industry.
A very important thing for people who are in research, especially, just giving you my bit, see into how you can relate your learning that you learned in terms of transnational skills that industry requires. Okay, so PhD is a very academic thing. Don't tell them about your thesis. Tell them how you can apply it to help that guy. Sometimes in the world of academia, you're lost in jargons. Don't do that. Simplify. Look at 3-minute thesis competitions. University of Sydney does that every once in a while. So if I ask you guys, like, tell me about your thesis in 1 minute, you should be able to, in very simplified words, so that even a high school guy can understand it. Because everyone who is a recruiter is not a science person. He's a bachelor's degree guy.
Krishna, on that note, the classic jargon we use, the elevator pitch.
Yes.
How do you impress somebody in an elevator within that 30 seconds of travel? And one of the other things in the industry is, you could have a 300-page report on whatever you do, but the executive summary is 1 page.
Exactly.
That 1 page is all that the CEO reads, your top manager reads. And that 1 page, because of your knowledge about all the things that you're doing, will allow them to present to the world everything that's in your 300-page report. Perhaps not to 100% accuracy, but at least 70% accuracy or 75%. So that's a skill. Anyways, so let's go back to asking, did all of this help you guys so far, or you want something more?
Absolutely, it was very helpful, and I have been following such strategies. Like, I have been trying to add people to my network. I also did one industrial internship in between. So I'm doing all this, but I completely agree with the advice I got today, and I think that's the best way to go. So I'm building my network, but also keeping in mind that I'll graduate soon. So keep looking for the posts that actually matter to me. Although I see a lot of posts are from states and like from Canada, so more relevant ones are from states. But I think other than that, I think it was great. Most of the advice that I got from it.
One point I have here, and I'm a sales guy, so excuse me if I'm talking from that perspective.
Rama, can you just quickly introduce yourself before you go ahead, please?
Oh yeah, so this is Ramanujam here from 92 to 96 batch of REC. I stay in Toronto. I think a lot of you have I've met you. So I only want to make one point. So Krishna and Ruchika made excellent points about how do you network, and it's very important, but you should also be interesting to your network. All I wanted to say was make yourself interesting to your network. Why should people network with you? You can request 10 people to network with you, the right audience. But why should they? Can
And
you
Rama,
make yourself interesting? So that's the question that will help you to convert more people to network with you. If you talk about your areas of interest, if you write about it, if you read something about it and you want to share it, these are things that help to put a personality to any to a LinkedIn profile or to whatever. And I think those would be the ones that would make you interesting to people. So to the audience you're seeking, right? So that's the only point I wanted to make when you're networking.
I think Ramaswamy has hit the bullseye there.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
Krishna and I were going through was more of the mechanics of what you should do. But ultimately, he said the right thing. The person on the other side is also a human being, right? The essence of all of this is you have to be likable, you have to be interesting, and you have to have a genuine connection with the person. So amidst all of this mechanics, don't forget that. Don't forget that you have to hit a genuine connection, right? And if you pretend the other person knows. So yeah, that's really, really important.
So one way to do it, just get into for anyone who's in research is, if you read something, summarize it in your post, so that people in that field know that you know something about that. So that is one way to do it. Another important thing, just to add on what he said, very good argument there being put forward. You are a brand. You are a brand. You need to sell yourself. What would you do? Ask that question. So each one of us is a brand. You need to capture a market, meaning the job. Now, what do you do? So think about it. If you make yourself a meaningful brand in terms of where you want and you find the right product market fit, you are there, right? So this is purely in terms of business. But yeah, I mean, think of it in day-to-day life. Why should I buy Surf Excel versus Ariel? Right? It's a very simple thing, but related to your careers, right? Make conversations meaningful and relatable, and also see what your brand is, what makes you unique. Why should someone talk to me? Why should what's in it? So you also have to tell them what's in it for them as well when you're doing that, right? So how do I benefit from a meaningful conversation like that? And I think most of the universities, you have a very good environment. Meet people over coffee, man. At least for once, take time out if you are in the same city, meet people, like-minded people over coffee and have chats about stuff like this. It would help you guys a lot.
Go ahead, Vishwas.
Okay, so hi, I'm Biswaranjan, 2009 batch graduate. I'm in the University of Minnesota. Like as we are discussing about the industries, like if you are really interested in the research, so there is a national labs as well as the universities where you can apply. Like I am as a staff scientist working at the University of Minnesota for the research. So those are the other avenue you can look around. Like if you are really interested in the research, and maybe the pay scales are different, but just to clarify, but if you are really looking into research and being a part of the research team, that's another avenue just to check. Yeah, thanks.
So I've come from that world which he's talking about. I was a staff scientist before coming here. So, it's not like you don't have jobs, you have it. You just need to know what satisfies you.
Yeah.
If satisfaction is there, you'd be happy.
Guys, more questions from the floor? So what are the kind of challenges you as students are specifically facing? I mean, I don't want this discussion to be a discussion on career philosophy, but more, are you getting the right tools you need from this discussion so far?
ask question, guys. I mean, if you don't ask us, we are not going to know. We are on a virtual world right now. So please ask what are the challenges you face on a day-to-day. It might sound very, seem trivial, but ask.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am Divyajyoti and I am I am 2023 pass out from NIT Rourkela, and I have just started studying masters in University of Southern California in computer science. I wanted to ask that regarding, and right now I'm searching for internships for my next year, and also I'm seeking to build up my network because masters is only 2 years. So I had a couple of questions. One is I am finding several different competing ways to go forward. Like some people say that whatever jobs are coming in, just blindly just apply through them, and so that you can up your chances. Some say that connect to people, wait for the referrals, wait for them to refer you and then apply. So what is the best strategy to go forward if you are searching for an internship? So
Congratulations, Divyajyoti, on graduating just very recently and pursuing your master's from USC. I mean, that's something big. So congratulations. I think your question is very relevant. I would say just do everything in parallel. Job search has always been difficult, right? Whether you're in recession or not, it's been difficult always, especially as an immigrant in the US and Canada, because of the visa situation. So I would say don't stop yourself from doing anything because someone says so. Keep applying, but make sure it's going to be a black hole, and you might hear back, of course, but it's going to be in lesser percentages. At the same time, if you find something which is really interesting and you really don't want to miss on that, and if you can find a referral, right, do that instead of directly applying. Because if you find a referral, there are higher chances you get noticed, right? Keep building your network, as you said. So there are like 10 ways to go about job searching. I would say do all the 10, because no matter what, job search, and it's not to demotivate anyone, but it is a tremendously challenging process because you're competing with everyone here out there, right? So do all of that. And I think I just wanted to also highlight one more thing. I think this first discussion has been great. We've talked a lot about things on how to do things at the higher level, but as we've seen questions come along, I feel like if you guys are interested, we could in the future do one more session on like network. What is network? Like, how do you even do it? How do you make it effective? Are you doing it just for the sake of it? Then how do you do your next step, which is info interview? So things like that. So we could definitely, if you see value, guys, let us know. We leave our email IDs and contacts, but we could probably go over that, because I know it's easier to say network, but really, what is it? I mean, it takes some practice to even do that.
So just to add to Ruchika's point there, so I'll give you numbers if everyone is an engineer here sometimes, right? Numbers help. So I applied, I since I do detail, I note everything. So I applied to 26 positions, and cumulatively in a period of 3 months, 206. And out of that, I think I must have heard back.
Hey, Krishna, you're cutting out.
Very individualistic, right? So it was for me. For someone who would have got it in the second job that he or she applied, it's different. So it varies from field, the market and everything, but you have to keep applying. You have to do all that you can do. Like she said, I mean, you have the barrier of visa, you have so people competing at, like people who are experts in that field, let's say, are also competing against you. So you need to do well, do whatever you can, okay, to put yourself out there. And once someone knows that you're out there, they will actually look at you as a person. So unless you put yourself out there, how do I know, right, that you're looking for a job? So you should be marketing yourself as much as you can. Yes, if you get it in the second try, I'm happy for you. So I have this theory, you can be demotivated for 6 hours. I used to be, when you face a rejection, right? If you don't hear back from it, just feel bad. It's nice to feel bad for a moment or two, but next day, be at it again. like something never happened. You cannot live in a bubble that, okay, fine, oh, my life is, wasted. I'm not getting a job. No, you can feel bad for a day. Everyone is human, but next day, be at it again. Be positive till you get it. Don't stop. Yeah.
So Ipsita, going back to your question on AI and machine learning, I mean, you would have noticed, Ipsita, through in our group, in the greater alumni group across US and Canada, I would say 60 to 65% of our folks are all in the machine learning, especially, people who have graduated 2004, 2005 onwards for sure. So I think there's a huge database that you can tap into for careers, career planning and job search. And Ipsita, within Canada, let's be in touch, and we can definitely help you move in that direction. Unfortunately, in biotechnology, I do have a few contacts, Ashirbad. Again, let us chat, and I can try and put you in touch with people over here. And once I put you in touch with those people, find out. I mean, they are in the biomedical area, but not necessarily perhaps in the exact line you are in, but that'll always lead you from one point to another.
You look
then
at
we have Bhagyashree.
Yeah. Sorry, just connect me, send me whosoever is interested in, like, research side of biomedical things or general biomedical engineering, connect me over LinkedIn.
Yeah, so towards the end, Krishna, hey, Manas, you're still there, right?
Yes, tell me.
Manas, so if you can create a group of whoever is present today as a new WhatsApp group let's call it as a NITROAA career planning group. Put all of us into that group. I know it's yet another group. And let's maybe have the discussion, and maybe this message will spread, and maybe more people will be interested in joining. I think that would be an easy place to start, and we can all share our LinkedIn profiles instead of making the alumni go and hunt for it on LinkedIn. And let's keep that discussion going to help them out.
Yeah, just want to
just one request, like Sundays and Saturdays, like weekends are not a good time. It's like either we are out or we are with the family somewhere. So if you can, schedule it on weekdays in the evenings, then it would be nice. Just a request.
Sure. Yeah. So one more thing, right? There is a LinkedIn group for all the overseas alumni. Just make sure that everyone is on it.
Yeah.
And then this group that we're talking about, since this is career related, it makes sense to have a maybe subgroup within LinkedIn, right? So that way, yeah, I'll explore that.
So guys, we talked about a lot about networking today. I think the key topic about Ruchika and Ramanujam sharing the personal experiences has been a lot about networking and more networking. Would that be the right statement to kind of, that defines the theme of today's discussion, Ruchika and Ramanujam and others?
Yes.
Yeah. So when we talked about networking, we also kind of touched upon a very important aspect, the human element of networking. It's not about social messaging, instant messaging, and I think with my own son, I have this discussion all the time. Go meet your friends, hang out, touch, feel each other physically. There's a huge difference. Guys, we have kind of somehow, COVID has created this virtual world, but the virtual world only can go so far. Imagine all of us trying to be virtually in connection with our families who live in India. Can you sustain that relationship forever? And I think the answer is no. And if you can't sustain that relationship, how can one sustain a relationship with a total stranger at work? And why would they even want to maintain that connection with you virtually if you choose to work remotely? And again, I'm not trying to advocate that everybody should go back to work 7 days a week or 6 days a week, whatever it is. But there's an important aspect of it. So I will let you guys think about it a little bit more. The NITROAA has been screaming itself out for God knows 5-6 years. Please become a life member. There are student life memberships available. Please become a life member. You might all ask, what is it in it for me to become a life member? Today you are a member of a big organization where this advice is coming free, the networking is coming free. And guys, I promise you, if anybody in our group calls me in the middle of the hour, I will wake up and I will take your call. I will not be angry with you, because this relationship we have binds us together much bigger than anything else you can think of in life. There's a common bond that runs between us. Maybe we are all related in some way, shape, or form by a common bloodline. Feel free to reach out within our alumni group. I think every one of us owes it to each other.
And a lot of time, I've seen in academia this thing, like, I don't know about other fields, but at least from the space I have been in, always people talk about, hey, I'm from MIT, Stanford, and all this kind of thing, right? Yes, you might be. I'm happy for you. Sorry to break the bubble. That still does not help you get the job. You need to still market yourself so well and position yourself. Yes, use that to your advantage. But, you need to do, if you're studying in a great university, that's good for you. But you need to do things right to actually make the other person understand what is it, what does he benefited from, or something like that. Make it more human, personal, and in terms of, like, not just, and don't have agendas, just meet people for the sake of meeting, build meaningful connections, talk to them, and then who knows, he might be your next employer. So that's how it works.
And I think one other thing that I got from this is almost all of you are studying or enrolled in a program right now. So you will have many companies come on campus, right, in the fall and winter semester. I think, so now, of course, I know engineering and research side works very differently from something like MBA, right? Because where we are just forced to learn that methodology. But my husband, so he's a software engineer, and there's a lot of lesson that I kind of shared with him where I said, you can be in any field, but like we all talked about, the human connection is the same. So I would encourage, and you can set yourself apart by doing that. So say there's a company on campus for you next week, right? Majority of the research and engineering students, and that's how we tend to work, right? We will just apply or just go talk to, not even talk to the recruiter there, right? We will not make use of their presence on campus most of the times. And that's where you set yourself apart by saying, oh, they're on campus. They always have office hours, like set some 15 minutes, go talk, right? And that's where that visual, physical connection will set you apart, because when they go back, so they're also a human being, right? At the end, when they go back and they say, oh, we have to pick 5 students from this particular school to interview, you will stand out because they saw you and because you probably struck a chord with them, right? So please do that. Take advantage of their office hours. You're already in school. Networking is really useful at all times, but mostly when you've graduated, when you're no longer in your network. Right now, you're already in that atmosphere. So don't ever miss that out, and you will see how remarkable the results can be.
One more quick point is, you just wanted to add to what Richard was saying. We talked about networking a lot. One more important facet to job market is, resume. I mean, we can have different sessions on it. I mean, it is not a 1 hour conversation. Each one of them is like in itself a huge topic to have. If you guys feel free, we can have that sometime. But you need to work hard. You need to tailor your resumes to the right fit, because okay, fine, ATS is filtering you, but at least let's make it more, like let the ATS not filter your resumes. If that helps, so there are tips and tricks that you will get only when you talk to people in the field, those who are in that journey. And so hence it becomes that way. If you don't know what's happening in day-to-day life of a person, then how do you actually predict that? There is no statistical modeling or that can help you, right? That, okay, this is what I need to do. So I think if you talk to people, the exposure that you get would be more than reading something online, because you're now having real world experiences.
So
that's great.
Just adding to what Ruchika said, I think I'll just give you an example. So I run my own company. I been working for the last 25 years. And talking about the way she talked about networking gave me a point. So we frequently attend trade fairs, having to sell our product, right? So before I even go to a trade fair, I pull out a list of people who will attend the trade fair, make sure that I connect with them. I make sure they see my company page. I make sure I have some meeting set up with them. So it's even after, so I'm now almost 27 years out from college, but still the whole networking bit that Ruchika just mentioned, I think still plays. So what I was trying to tell is, even before I go to a trade fair, there is a whole lot of networking that I do even today. And what Ruchika was saying was, even before the interviewer glance up at your campus, you have to do that kind of networking, and it helps. And if you already had the brand on your website, like when people see you on LinkedIn, if you have already built a kind of brand, that stays more. You've pre-sold yourself before people can get to campus. And I think, I'm just trying to tie up what Krishna and Ruchika have said about networking. It's just a thought that came to my mind. Thank you.
Hey, Manas, this is actually, we talked about a lot of phenomenal points over here. So if you can set up this WhatsApp group, Manas, we will try and shortlist the points we discussed so that we can create a more targeted, information session for the next meeting. And I'm thinking about, how do you create a LinkedIn profile, an effective LinkedIn profile could be one such topic. How do you network beyond and over and above the AI world of things? I think Krishna touched upon an important aspect of how to beat technology with a human touch. And I think it's starting to happen more and more. And the concept of emotional intelligence is becoming extremely important in our business. Ruchika talked about how, it's important to stay connected, how to establish your, again, networking, how do you establish your brand name, how do you establish your ask from life, make sure that you ask for the right things and you get those kinds of things. I mean, Ramanujam locally in the Toronto chapter has been an amazing person who has put together the entire group almost single-handedly. And how does he network? These are all like standing examples. It all happens in small ways, but it speaks volumes for how each and every one of us has contributed to this world.
And just adding to that, a discussion on resumes, how to do in interviews. In interviews, it's not just the technical skills. It's also the, depending on which field you are, it depends on how the industry is working in that space. So yeah, so you have like a lot of places where you can actually make yourself unique, right? There is a lot of opportunity there if you brand yourself really well.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are just past the hour. If there are any questions, please feel free to ask the questions. Otherwise, we could slowly start to wrap the session for today.
I have one more question if I can ask.
Yeah, please go ahead, Devijyoti.
Yeah, so since like in my bachelor's, I have used to work in a lot of fields. Like I have explored things like software engineering, I have done research in NLP, I have done robotics, I have done DevOps in my internship and so on. So coming right now after coming to masters, it becomes kind of hard to decide which field I want to pursue in or what type of jobs I should look into and so on. So are there any tips or suggestions as to how do I narrow down my search, or should I just search for each and everything I used to do?
Well, say you can have plan A, B, and C. That's how I look at it in terms of, maximizing. But what gives you more happiness is something very personal that I can't answer for you. That you will have to choose. But I think you should go about it like, ask yourself, talk to people and ask yourself, do you see yourself doing it for a very long time? Will that give you happiness for a longer time and satisfaction in terms of career, not only in terms of money, but in terms of everything in a very holistic way? And then have the plan ABC.
I think to add to that, Divya, I think it's a very good question. I think we've all come across that phase in our life and also do come, right, even now. So it will sound redundant, but again, the answer to that is connect with people. Many a time, so I'll give you my personal experience. There was a time when I felt like, oh, this is an area I strongly want to do and pursue, right? Because your experience theoretically and academically could be very different. You might like that professor so much that you feel like, oh, this is my, career. But the realities, the practical realities of a career are very different. So connecting with the right people, say you have these 3 different disciplines, Divyajyoti, right? And you're like, which one do I pick? And probably I like all of them, right? So passion is definitely one, but sometimes it can take time to even recognize your passion. So the way to do it is to connect with people in all of these 3 different spaces, and then connect to maybe at least 5 in each, right? And then when you hear their practical day to day, you can start making a story and say, do I want to really do that? Like, so it will filter out what you would really love doing and not. So again, the answer to that is connect. And I know it sounds very like hypothetical and maybe overwhelming at this point, right? We will maybe in the consecutive sessions go over these things so that we can teach you steps to how to do that without getting overwhelmed. But there is no substitute for hard work. And I think congratulations to all of you for making this session. It shows that you're already very motivated, that you showed up on a Sunday afternoon. So let's just keep this momentum going and adding more people.
One more quickly to
So
add.
Divyajyoti, was your question about landing your first job? You're confused as to landing your first job or applying for your first job, or you wondering about what you want to do in your entire life?
That's so.
Divyajyoti?
Divyajyoti, are you there?
I think he could have accidentally disconnected. I don't see his name on the participant list.
Okay. So, I mean, again, this is a dilemma most young graduates have. And I'm pretty sure when we started a career, we had the same dilemma. There's a pressure from the family that you need to secure your first job. You have overgrowing debts. But you know what? Let's hang on to our thoughts for the next discussion. So guys, thank you so much for your time, Ruchika, Krishna, Ramanujam, and Ipsita, and Ashirbad, and Abhishek. Like every single person that's been here, thank you so much for taking the initiative, and thanks for this question. So Manas, once we set up the group, we will have further discussions, and I'm sure we can start to create several topics of interesting discussions that is going to be helpful. And honestly, I learned a lot today. Thank you, Ruchika. You come with a truly recruitment slant to things on how the human element and human approach makes a big difference. I was talking to, Ramanujam, I've known him for a long time. There is, we have a lot of discussions about it. And Krishna, I've been chatting before the event, and he was saying very similar things. As you can see, there's a lot of passion in the group about what we all do. So if there are no further questions, is it okay we close the topic for today?
Yeah, I think.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much,
All right.
Ruchika,
Thank you
Krishna,
very much.
and Rama, and Venkatesh. Yeah, for
Thank you for this opportunity, sir. I think it's been a pleasure. And I think, like Venkat sir said, this is all coming from passion that, Krishna, I, Venkat sir, Manas sir, Rama sir, all of us share, right? Like, so it's been delightful. I would say take advantage of us, like really do,
Yes.
right? That's the first point.
Yes.
Yes. You should take advantage.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, please. And I think we are all willing to be taken advantage of. So very rarely would people say such a thing. So please do.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much.
Guys.
Yeah, we'll organize another session soon.
Sure. Take care.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.